Ready to start the stream. And welcome to the Steelers Depot live stream here on Monday, March 29th. Back after 2 weeks. Again, every other week is how we are doing things for now. So good to be back with you guys. Got a jam-packed show today. I got a lot of questions here from you guys. Before we start with Dave Bryan, I want to do a quick audio test to myself and Dave as well because I messed with settings on my OBS and all that. So Dave, go ahead and talk for me, please. And then Chad, if you could please let me know if you can hear Dave and everything sounds good or not robot-y or something like that. Please let me know. But Dave, go ahead.
Testing. Can you hear me now? Welcome. Happy Monday. Busy March Monday.
Very. We were just talking. It feels like it's busier now than it is during the regular season. But Chad, let me know if you can hear Dave, if everything sounds okay, or if there's adjustments that I need to make, and I would appreciate that. And then we can actually start answering some of your guys' questions. All right, I'm getting Tin Can. Dave, you're getting Mr. Roboto again. Let me try something here. Dave, go ahead and talk again for me, please.
Testing. Can you hear me now? Do I sound like Mr. Roboto now? Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
All right, chat, is that any better? Please let me know, and then we'll dive into the questions. One person saying it sounds good, better, good to go. Okay, we are good to go. So that's good to get that taken care of and out of the way. I'm going to ignore my frustrations with Robert Spillane, who's falling on the sword for the Steelers and covering wide receivers, and get right into your questions here. First one, and again, reminder, we're here till 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so top of the hour. If you want to have your question asked and answered and have a guarantee of that, because we get so many questions these days, be sure to send us a super chat, and then you move to the front of the line, and your question, of course, will be answered. Other than that, you can just put it in the chat. All right. Zachary says, as pro days wind down, do you think the general approach to round one picks, Tomlin, Colbert, pro day, underclassmen, will still be taken? And do you believe Colbert's claim of not drafting opt-outs is still there? Twofold question. I think the pro day connection is still strong. I think they want to get eyes and meet the guys that they intend to draft. So I think that hasn't gone away. The underclassmen thing may change a little bit because, these underclassmen, they have less tape and there's more of a projection there just with the craziness of, everything going on this past college football season. And so last year you saw a lot of upperclassmen. Anthony McFarland, I believe, was the only underclassman selected. Granted, they did not have a first-round pick, but still a very senior-heavy class. So that could potentially change. And then for the opt-out comment, Colbert never said he wouldn't draft guys who opted out. He just said it would hurt them in the process. So I think that still stands true.
And there's no reason to think right now that we're not looking at some of the time-tested kind of Blues Clues, right? The Power Five, the Colbert at the pro day here, and within that, boy, it depends on what you want to read into it. But so far, we have not seen Mike Tomlin or Kevin Colbert at the North Carolina pro day. I talked to Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports a little while ago. He says they were not on the RSVP list. A running backs coach was. We assumed that was Eddie Faulkner. He did not name him by name, but they only got one of those, right? So, if indeed that was the case, and Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, I was expecting them at the North Carolina Pro Day. I got to be honest with you, and if indeed they're not there, then that's a huge blow for Javonte Williams to be the first round pick at 24 overall. And if indeed that's the case, then I think we're down to Travis Etienne and Najee Harris when it comes to possible running backs at 24. Now the second Alabama pro day is it tomorrow or Wednesday?
It's one of those 2 days. I forget which one.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Mike Tomlin and Colbert and Matt Canada all go back to see that again,
because Harris is working out, right, at this pro day.
He's supposed to do something, whether or not he's going to run. But I think Mac Jones talked about today in his session with the media that Najee is going to be part of what Mac Jones is doing on the field.
Okay.
So we'll have to see if Najee decides to run and do all that other stuff,
Yeah, so we'll see. I have no idea if they'll be there. They were at the first Bama Pro Day, but a lot of those guys, including Harris, did not really work out, didn't do much, so it would make sense for them to be there. And then for Javonte Williams, if he's there at 55, then that's possible. If this team did draft a running back at 24 for 24, though the history tells us he's probably not going to be their guy. Doesn't guarantee it. History will be broken eventually, but the odds don't look great.
What about your measurement chart too on running backs and all, and Javonte coming in at 509? What was it? 509.5.
Mm-hmm. 5'8".
Yeah, that's a lot shorter than what the Steelers normally look for, and plus him and Carter split some time in that backfield, and Mike Tomlin generally likes those workhorse type backs. For the most part early, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting development today. So I'm sure you're going to be playing Eagle Eye Kazora later on tonight, scouring everything you can find on North Carolina,
I
right?
think it's the best nickname anyone's ever given me. Eagle Eye usually was nerd, short.
It's better than One Eye.
Better than One Eye. That's fair. Yeah, Mike Adesso says the same. If who I spotted today. They were at Duke. I don't know who from Duke yet. I need to try to do some more investigating, but I did see someone there from Duke. Eddie Faulkner at North Carolina. And usually I wait till the evening to kind of dive into that when the news cycle slows down and when teams start posting highlight videos and photo galleries and stuff like that. So I don't have a complete list, but hopefully we'll update late tonight.
Are we gonna slow down today?
And haven't yet, so we'll see at some point. All right, got a super chat here from Mike Cantwell, $5. Thank you so much. There was no message attached with it unless you left something in the chat that I missed other than a sound good. I don't see a message, but thank you, Mike. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Shoes, Guns, Cars Gaming 0112 says, hey, Dave and Alex, I think the re-signing of JuJu had little to do with Nelson being cut as initially thought. I think they had in mind from the beginning based off of the Sutton comments today. Yeah, I don't think it was 1-to-1 Nelson and JuJu, but I also don't think it was a complete coincidence that basically the second JuJu signed, Nelson was told that you can look for a trade. So, I don't know if JuJu was someone they really anticipated they could bring back. I think there was always that hope, but there was no really strong guarantee of it, and things kind of came together last second, and then JuJu, of course, taking less money to stay with Pittsburgh. So I do think it played a role. It wasn't 1-to-1, but I don't think those two storylines being literally 10 minutes apart were a complete coincidence either.
And it also came on the heels of Cameron Sutton re-signing too. So you're obviously not going to cut Sutton while you still have, cut Steven Nelson while you still have, Sutton up in the air there. It's not good for negotiations that way at all. I think this is all one kind of big master plan together. No, I'm with Alex. I don't think you can go one for one. No, this didn't happen and that didn't happen. But man, the ball sure got rolling there real quick after JuJu signed and look, they probably, quite honestly, they were probably under the assumption originally that probably JuJu they were going to lose him. Mm-hmm. Now right. they probably did have an idea maybe that his market was going to be softer than what the rest of us maybe thought it would be. Did they think it would be as soft as that?
I doubt it, to be honest with you.
And obviously at the same time you're probably working on probably the thought all along was try to get Sutton back, which they did, and they got him back at a good price as well too. So I think, look, after it's easy to judge these things after the fact, right? Mm-hmm. And say, oh, okay, well, this, that. And I believe that probably was the plan. I think they went into this thing thinking, and poor Steven Nelson, I think he was blindsided by this, as well. I don't think it'd be interesting to see Steven Nelson when he gives his first interview with whatever team that he signs with, to kind of, if he will, kind of recount kind of what happened here, because it really, really seems like Steven Nelson kind of got blindsided in all this, and that the decision was made that if we can get Cameron Sutton re-signed and a chance to get JuJu, then okay, Steven Nelson's going to have to be the one out the door.
Right, and that's what ultimately
I thought they were going to extend him this offseason. Yeah. I thought Nelson was going to be here and get an extension later on in the offseason. That's the way I saw that playing out.
And that's why I laugh not laugh, but it's humorous to me to see the comments of, oh, Hayden was better, so much better, Nelson wasn't that good. I mean, everyone, or so many people ask me in the offseason, should they cut Joe Hayden to re-sign JuJu or, Hilton Sutton? Not one person said, should they cut Steven Nelson? And all of a sudden he's gone and it's, he wasn't that good anyway. It's just kind of how things go sometimes.
Big shoes that Nelson has, and Cameron Sutton talked about it today in a Zoom call about, he's going to get first crack to be outside and all like that. So keep your fingers crossed.
We got a really generous super chat here from Double H8, $50. Wow, thank you so much. Let me read the comment here. He says, thank you for the fine Steelers information and entertainment you provided me over this crazy year. This is for Dave to get digital downloads and Alex to have DVDs and VHS cassettes to better understand each other's pop culture references. Cheers. I don't know if there's an amount of money that will get me to understand the references that Dave make, but thank you so much, Double HH. Really, really kind of you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Double HH. The thing is, my age and Alex's age, there's going to be outside of the football connection, there's probably going to be a large gap when it comes to pop culture and movies and all like that. Look, I don't get to watch the movies I like used to like to watch and all. My head's buried in the movies I watch include usually tight ends. The other tight ends, the football tight ends.
Right. Okay. Again, thank you, Double HH. Very, very kind of you here. Just by the way, some news. The Reddit rumors were true. Rashaad Coward is signing with the Steelers. Talked about that on Monday's show of the Terrible Podcast. Mutated gene.
Real quick on that Alex and I have been kind of tracking that for the last 48 hours. I think from the whole Reddit. Once it blew up on Reddit there, and the agent told me the other night that nothing yet, but that they were in talks with the Steelers. And look, I saw somebody on the site say, well, this is obviously maybe a move now that means that the Steelers are going to trade David DeCastro. Yeah, let's kind of pump the brakes on that right there. Yeah. For one thing, this is a 1-year deal, the agent told me too, and I'm almost can guarantee you it's going to be for like $850,000. Okay, this is a kid from the Bears, a former defensive lineman that was converted to an offensive lineman. The tape's not all that great. He's more guard than he is anything else there. He's got to make the roster first and foremost there. And once again, this is probably going to be a 1-year deal for the minimum. It's not going to move the salary cap needle much of anything at all. So let's just kind of pump the brakes right now on the Steelers trading David DeCastro and all like that. This is a depth move.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing to do with their starting lineup at all. This is a backup through and through, backup guard really, and then I think emergency tackle if you needed him also. Got another super chat here from Mike Campbell, another $5. I know you just sent one, Mike. Hopefully that wasn't in an error with the first one. If you have to rescind something, feel free to. But he says, am I in a crazy world believing the Steelers will draft a tight end from Penn State? And thanks for all y'all do. Thank you, Mike. Talked about Freiermuth on the podcast today. I think we both agree he's not worth a pick at 24. The question is, will he be there at 55? That's always the dilemma I've had with talking about Pat Freiermuth.
Now, here's the thing. Just because we don't think he's
Artie Burns,
I didn't think Artie Burns was worthy of a first-round pick either. We saw how that turned out. Look, they don't give a flying. You know what? What Alex and I think. And Mike, here's the other thing too. Look, I mean, there's no doubt they like that kid Freiermuth. I mean, I think it was obvious. There's a connection there between him and the Steelers' new tight ends coach. How can you not like the kid? He's a very likable kid. Alex and I think saw him talk on the media session the other day from the pro day as well too. The question becomes, and as I told Alex this morning, I've gotten through all of this 2020 tape. Tonight I want to try to make it all the way through all of the rest of his 2019 tape. I don't want to form a hard opinion right now just off of his 2020 tape because he got hurt and only played like in 4 games that year. But the 3 games that I've gone through from 2019, I'm still not seeing it. Now I might see it, in the next 6 or 7 games here. But from where I sit right now, man, to me it'd be kind of hard to justify drafting him at 24. But that doesn't mean that the Steelers won't do it. If they like a guy and they deem that that's their guy and they have a first round grade on him, they'll take him. But I do think they like him, but I do think more than anything, I think his best value from where I sit right now would be in the second round at 55 overall. Right where I am right now, I don't view him as a top 50 player. Now, several of our writers do. There's a few of our writers who do think that he's slam dunk top 50. Maybe I'll see that after I get through. And even Alex told me this morning, go check out his 2018 tape where he has a little bit better yardage per catch as well too. So let me get through the rest of the tape, and I'll give you an update on that.
And for whatever it's worth, Brevin Jordan, who's kind of in that battle with Freiermuth for the second tight end off the board, did not test great today. His 40 time was decent, but his broad was not great. His shuttle time, Jordan himself said it's not accurate. But who knows? I mean, he tested pretty average, and he's not a tall guy either. So there's kind of I think he's a better athlete on tape than he tested. But there's going to be some concerns, I should say, with Brevin Jordan.
Boy, when he came in at what 6'2",
2.5, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see that one coming there, and I didn't see him running the 4.6. He was pretty upset about that too, wasn't he? He said
Mm-hmm.
something along the lines, "I can run four. I can wake up and run 4.3 in that short shuttle."
Right.
And but here's the thing: we don't know what Fryermuth's going to run because Fryermuth's
Right.
not. Fryermuth's going to be in that group of kids that didn't do the workouts during the off
Mm-hmm.
season. They're due to injury and whatnot.
Right. But I don't think he would have tested a lot worse than the way Jordan tested today. And Fryermuth's a bigger guy. So
Right.
lot of debate there. James Bates says, reading the tea leaves, should we view offensive tackle selection day 1, 2 as now less likely? I think I've been in that camp for a couple weeks now. When the draft process first started, I kind of thought, okay, tackle early, that'll be the approach, but they're really high on Banner. Corfor's still there. They signed Haig. I think they'll take a tackle, but I don't think it'll happen until, maybe third round, but I think day 3 is where you'll see a tackle come in.
Yeah, and yeah, did Colbert give us a little bit of too much information saying this is a deep tackle class?
True.
A couple of weeks ago. Uh, I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I am leaning toward them not taking a tackle in the first round right now. No, I think all bets are kind of off after that. But once again, I wouldn't go put a large bet on that right now. I think they like I think they like that who's the kid out
Minnesota?
Brown
What?
Northern.
Oh, Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa. Yep.
Yeah, Northern Iowa. I really bet they have their eyes kind of set on him. And here's the other thing: who was the recent one that just didn't test all? The Michigan kid didn't test
Mayfield.
all that great.
Yeah, Jalen Mayfield tested a lot worse than I thought he would.
Did you see that one coming?
No, I thought he would test a lot. He was like average athlete. He looks like he's a better athlete on tape.
Right now, that I would rule him out as possible. Definitely not being a first round guy now. Most not that he might have been in that group or whatnot, but I was surprised by how he kind of tested, and you probably have studied him a little bit more or a lot more than I have.
Yeah, so I think day 3 tackle. Spencer Brown, though, I don't think he gets out of day 2. I don't think a 6'8", 314-pound tackle who has like a sub 7-second 3 cone is getting out of the top 100 or so picks of the draft.
I think he can make it to the third round pick, and I bet that's where they're betting on.
Fair enough. Got another super chat here. Thank you guys so much for all the super chats. Really appreciate it. Justin Average Joe Streaming says, so we grab BJ Finney, correct? And if so, are we still going to grab Dickerson at first, or do we go a different route, quarterback, running back? Any chance we trade up? Yes, BJ Finney was signed to a 1-year deal shortly after the Bengals released him. I think center's still on the board. Could it be Dickerson? Potentially. A lot of medical history there with the ACLs and ankles that may keep him out of the first round. Creed Humphrey an option. Quinn Miners, who's Dave's guy, out of Wisconsin Whitewater a little bit later in the draft, is an option as well. So the board's kind of open. I don't think it'll be quarterback. Running back, I think, is a strong possibility for a trade-up. I find that to be unlikely given all the needs the Steelers have to basically address in this draft.
The thing about Landon Dickerson, if he had clean medicals and all this, and I'm not just talking about just the recent knee. I mean, it goes back further than that, as well with him. That's just very un-Steeler-like, I think. And I think it'll cause the stock to drop anyway. I mean, we saw who was it? Biadez, who was about a little bit earlier than this same time last year. Oh, he's center number 1, right?
Yep.
Him and the kid out of Washington,
Nick Harris.
Brown, yeah, Nick Harris. That's all those. Everybody that was 1-2, 1-2. Biadez went much later in the draft, and where did Harris go?
Yeah, when did he go? 5th round, 6th round?
A lot later there. So I think Dickerson is a nice risk if he drops down into that 4th round or whatnot. And besides, anyway, he's going to be late getting in anyway this year. I mean, you're probably not going to get much out of him his rookie season because he tore his knee up so late in the season. That's going to be at least 9 months on him, you would think.
Well, his rehab's been great though. I think he could come back early, or at least earlier than maybe what doctors initially thought.
Right.
So,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you're drafting a guy with a torn ACL, which is not a great thing to do, especially if you want to do it in the first round.
Yeah, I don't even think he's second round grade right now. Personally.
Really?
I think you're going to end up I think this is going to be another push down here where after the fact we're going, man, I can't believe he went 4th round, or something along those lines.
Man, if he's there in the 3rd round, and you haven't taken a center, I mean, I would not pass up on him. Now, medical, of course, is going to dictate that. I think some teams will have him off their board entirely, but I think there'll be a handful of teams that say we're going to clear medically, and the tape to me is a first-round guy.
I mean, he's talented on tape, no doubt. I mean,
Right.
he'd be a slam dunk pick if it wasn't for these medicals, probably.
Right. So,
or at least early second round, I would think.
Right, and then we'll see if they're at Oklahoma's pro day too. That's this week, I believe, with Creed Humphrey, who's also regarded as maybe the top center in this class. All right, let me get back to the questions here. Let me find some that have come in since the chat started. Again, we're here till the top of the hour. I got a comment from Germany saying much love from Germany, guys. Over here, it's 1 a.m., but we have Easter break over here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I got a lot of comments from Germany here the last couple of days, so that's been pretty cool. Wes Hickok says, the question I have, two-parter actually. Any news on Connor outside the organization or otherwise? And is Finney the likely starter, or do you think it'll be someone else? Connor reportedly had talked to the Jets. They signed Tevin Coleman, and Finney is the starter if the season began today. But I think they will draft a center early, top 2-3 rounds. And I think that guy probably passes up Finney to be the week 1 starting center. That's my guess of it.
Yeah, and I still don't think you can rule out the later this thing gets into the offseason, if there's a couple of these centers still out there unsigned, maybe want to sign one of those one-year veteran benefit deals. I don't think you can rule that out completely. Just you would think that maybe they'll add at least one more.
Who, though? I mean, is there someone left? Because Nick Martin got signed.
Yeah, there's not much out there, obviously.
Right.
But and as far as James Conner goes, I think it's in James Conner, unless somebody knocks James Conner's socks off with, something where he can earn like $3 million right now. If I'm James Conner, I keep working out. I stay in shape, and I get on into the summer and wait till some of these injuries happen here. Because I think, we saw last year, who was it? Devontae Freeman, I think, get something around, what did he get? Like $3.5 million or something like that. I think there may be some incentives in there or whatnot, but I think that's Connor's best chance at maybe cashing in is late, much later in the summer there, if no one blows his doors off right now. And it's not looking like that. The market, the further we get away from March 17th, it usually the running back market does not get better overall. So I think Connor might be looking at something, I don't know, $1.5 million with some incentives right now. Maybe. But once again, if that's all he can get is a 1-year deal for that, he could probably get that same kind of deal later in the summer. So why not wait to see maybe if you can get a better deal, maybe due to a team losing a running back due to an injury. That would be my stance on it.
Yeah, it's hard to see Connor get signed before the draft, because I think teams will say, it's a decent running back class and we'll just go try to draft one. And if we can't do that, then we'll revisit the free agency market. And I think Connor's probably in the same boat, where I don't want to go to a team, then they draft a running back, and then I kind of am in a different position than I thought I would be in. So he probably should wait until post-draft to see where really the best opportunity for him to play and hopefully try the market again next season. I'll get a question here from Trey, who says, what are the chances Pitt trades up for Micah Parsons to pair with Devin Bush versus staying put and drafting a running back? I don't think they'll trade up for Parsons. That's easy to say for any one player. With Parsons, I think he'd be a good scheme fit, a really good athlete, but there's a lot of off-field concerns. Remember, Pittsburgh, ever since basically Mike Adams, they've gone with squeaky clean, off-field, guys, high character through and through. Very rarely have they drafted a guy over the last 5-7 draft classes that have had really any sort of off-the-field issues, unless someone I'm just forgetting. But Parsons has some off-field issues that may take him out of contention for Pittsburgh. Let's see here. F. War says, I've said all along during the process that I love the value of getting Javonte in the second round. Never a fan of taking running backs in the first. I think it's a very fair point to make.
Ain't got to twist my arm on that.
Mike Adesso, seems like the Steelers are talking to all the top edge guys. Is it really possible they'll go edge round 1? I'm still trying to grasp corner in round 1 now, too. I find it really hard to believe, will there be a guy worth taking? I think they talk to a lot of these guys. I think they know they want to draft an outside linebacker, a pass rusher. They really need to, probably later on in the draft. So if somebody slips or someone falls for whatever reason, I think they want to do their homework on these guys. But I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I'd be pretty surprised if an edge went at 24.
Yeah, Ike Taylor would tell you differently, though. Ike Taylor would tell you that what this team does. They draft guys, defense and edge guys. That seems to be the latest take that Ike Taylor has on this. Who would it be, though? It'd have to be somebody at one of these pro days, right? I mean, the Georgia, the Georgia kid. Could he slide down in there?
I mean, there's
Yeah.
Phillips from the U who just had a great,
Oh man,
workout
he was
today.
fantastic today to listen to as well. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say no, it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised if they went edge, though. I'll tell you that.
I would be too. The thing with Phillips is, I think he's a freaky athlete. He had a really strong season, but the concussions. I mean, he has at least 3. He had to medically retire at UCLA because of those concussions, and so I'm not even sure how you evaluate that medically going forward. It just feels like such a risk. No fault of his own, of course, but
Right.
it's just that's a big risk in the first round.
And you're going to want this kid to play on special teams right out of the
Yeah.
shoot and be a kamikaze of sorts right out of the
Right.
shoot too.
Right. So one more concussion, it could end his career. I mean, that could happen to anybody I know, but just the additional risk with him is tough to stomach, and it's a weak edge class overall. So I don't know. You got a lot of options to weigh. I don't think edge will be the pick at 24, but they will and should address it sooner than later. I'll phrase it that way.
And that other Northern Iowa kid too,
Ellerson Smith.
Ellerson Smith is one to maybe to keep an eye on. Got some nice tape underneath. Small school kid who they bypassed the 20 season because of the COVID and all like that. Squeaky clean kid. Him and Brown, 2 fine prospects. Both of them went to the Senior Bowls as well too. So here's another thing. Now is the perfect time for everybody in the chat to go back and revisit that Senior Bowl list. If you're talking about Steelers first round picks, and if they're not an underclassman, they're probably coming from that Senior Bowl list.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. Who would be? Well, yeah, no, I hear what you mean. They drafted Chase Claypool last year. I guess I was trying to think who was the last player they drafted that wasn't Senior Bowl, but they've drafted so many underclassmen that it's probably actually a pretty long list.
Well, I'm talking about first round.
Yeah, well, I'm saying even first round,
Right.
because all the juniors they drafted obviously wouldn't have been able to attend the
Right.
Senior Bowl. But last year, Chase Claypool, obviously, they got a good look at him down in Mobile. I had a question here. Let me go back and scroll and find it. Gage Javansky asks, how would you rank the starting O-line of 2021 through 6, including Dotson, in terms of the best run blockers and then the best pass blockers? It's a good question. I don't have a list for you. There's just so much uncertainty with this line right now. A lot of guys who are unproven just haven't played a lot. It almost feels like an open-ended question right now where I don't have any super strong rankings one way or the other.
I mean, what's he wanting as a group?
I think he wants to rank 1 through 5 or 6. Who's the best run blocker, second best run blocker, and then the same with pass pro. I don't think we're going to go through all of that, but I'm just trying to even come up with who's the best run blocker and best pass blocker on this team, and I still struggle with just even figuring out the top of that list. I mean, who is the best run blocker? DeCastro when he's healthy, unless he really fell off.
We've seen DeCastro. Obviously, it wasn't last season, but I benefit of the doubt. I think you'd have to go DeCastro just from what he's done. Just hope that was abnormality last season there with him on that. I don't know. The second had to be Dotson probably.
Yeah, and then I'll assume Banner at third because I think he can be a good run blocker and showed it as a jumbo tight end, and then
flip a coin between Finney and Okorafor.
Both tied at 5.
The thing with Finney, he's a better guard than he is a center. At least that's what we've seen so far with him. He's had a few nice starts at guard so far during his career. Not so much at the center position there. And then I don't know if you want us to add Joe Haig in there as the blocking. I mean, as a blocking tight end, that has to be why they signed this guy. I mean, you don't want to wish for Joe Haig to play many snaps at tackle for the Steelers here, but obviously they paid him a little bit more than minimum there, so he's probably going to stick around. He's probably going to be. He's got some decent tape now as a run blocker out there, as an eligible, but. That's about it.
I mean, but who's your next man up at tackle? It's probably Joe Haig. If it's not him, who else would it be?
I still got a funny feeling that they might try to re-sign Villanueva here if that price comes down.
Well, he just sold his house, so hopefully he's good with renting.
I know. You can still rent, but I got a weird feeling.
All right. Well, of guys on the roster right now, Joe Haig is your swing tackle, I assume. Not great, but. I mean, they
better draft a good one.
They play Jonathan Scott at left tackle. They started Jonathan Scott, so been worse, I guess. Let's see. Eric McDade, it's not a Steelers question, but what's the difference between Mac Jones and Joe Burrow? Draft perspective, is it strictly based off the mobility of Burrow? Yeah, I think Burrow was more mobile, stronger, better when the play broke down.
A lot better when the play broke down.
I think Mac Jones has a better arm, though. I think Burrow's arm is his worst feature, and Jones, I think, has a better arm than people give him credit for. And now it sounds like, do you believe Jones is going to go 3 to San Francisco?
No, but
No? Well, who's going to go 3 then? Is it Lance, Fields? It's a quarterback. It has to be a quarterback.
So I guess it depends on who you ask. I've seen
Right.
a lot of people think Lance is going to be the guy there. Mac Jones that high just feels. Look, he's a very likable kid too. I mean, I sat in on his Zoom call today. Smart, really smart. Got that kind of moxie to him as well too. But I don't know if I'm a GM, if I want to take him number 3 overall.
Yeah, I felt like Trey Lance might be the guy, but to sit for a season and Garoppolo's gone. But I don't know. I'm glad I'm not doing 49ers Depot trying to wade through all this smoke. Stillwater Rain White. Ooh, I said that horribly wrong. But he says the Steelers are signing Crawford. It's Rashaad Coward, not Richard Crawford. But yeah, we wrote about that on the site a little bit ago. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He'll be a backup if he makes the team.
He looks his measurables. His measurables makes him a 4'5" 5'10" defensive lineman.
You try to move every offensive lineman. Hawkins had to go to guard, and now Coward's trying to go to D-line.
Go look at some of his old Dominion tape at defensive tackle. He's got that classic build to him.
He's one.
Here's the thing about him too. You know, the Bears signed him, and then he spent a little bit of time. I think his rookie season on the practice squad. I think he got called up for a game or two, and got a few snaps in. I think 2017. In 2018, they continued that switch. I think he spent all of 2018 on the Bears practice squad. And then I think the last 2 seasons is when he's been up on their 53, 2019, 2020 as a tackle / guard. And I think his better snaps have been at guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not saying much.
Yeah, the tape that I've watched, just kind of thumbing through, is not particularly impressive. So he's a backup guy. I mean, somebody like compared him to Guy Wimper, the whole Wimper Coward thing, and I think it works on a lot of different levels. All right, back to the questions here. Let's see. Simon says, "Hey Alex, what's your estimated cap room after today?" Dave, do you have an updated total on cap room?
It's probably around. Look, they haven't spent much. You know, assuming the Coward pick is 800 something thousand, which we think it is. That's not going to move it. So I mean, it's right around 12 million under. Okay. But when I say 12 million under, remember they've got 13 to 14 more million in upcoming cost. After March 17th, you got the 52nd and 53rd roster players. You got the full practice squad. You've got the offset amount from the rookie draft class pool. That's about $2 million there. And plus this team's going to want to keep at least $6 million probably in reserve for in season. You're probably going to need another $1 million for in season shuttling back and forth from the practice squad there. So I've already eaten up. I just took I just took Alex's 12 million away from him right now. So at some point, this team's going to more than likely still have to restructure Stephon Tuitt and Chris Boswell, and that'll be about 5 million right there. So it's one thing for me to sit here and say, okay, guys, we got 12 million, but you got to remember that there are these predictive costs that the team will have moving forward that are going to eat up all and then some of that $12 million right now. So, right. Don't, in other words, expect these low level, barely move the needle kind of signings. Even Alualu, who I don't even think we mentioned so far tonight here. What a big turn of events that was. But that cap space that they spent to do that isn't going to be much either after roster displacement takes place.
Right. So you should still expect at some point, Stephon Tuitt restructure, probably the same with Chris Boswell, just to free up even more room just to do a couple more things potentially in free agency.
unless you do something like we said, like doing Joe Hayden
Yeah.
and something, voidable year, 4-year, extension with him. That'll free up a little bit of money. I really don't think that they're going to go that route. They may, though I don't think they will. Other than that, it's cutting people. Are you going to cut DeCastro? I kind of doubt it. You don't have any, who are your high salary guys right now at this point that you could cut that would save any money. Look, if a Okorafor is not working out later on in the season, there's $2 million there.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't think that they'd part ways with him. But
I didn't think they'd part ways with Stephen Nelson.
Right, that's how far up the pole he is right now. Talking about Okorafor when his $2 million salary. What are you going? Instead of restructure, you're not going to cut Chris Boswell, right? More than likely, you're just going to restructure Chris Boswell. Yeah. You've already done Eric Ebron, so you can't go to that well. Unless you get very, very creative on a TJ Watt extension and do something the Steelers really never do, you're probably at most going to save about $1.5 million or $2 million in cap space by giving him a monster extension. That's it.
Yeah, it's a very short list at this point. Got a question here. What running back do we like better, or would the Steelers prefer? I don't know what the scope of this question is, but Najee Harris or Travis Etienne? Regardless of what the Steelers think, who do you like more, Dave, Harris or Etienne?
Boy, they both have great, they have great tape. Etienne gives you more of the explosive down the field plays, but I don't think you go into it. I think he has better contact balance than Najee Harris does. But Najee Harris is the kind of guy that seems to get stronger as games go on. And Nick Saban said as much today when he talked to us during the media call earlier today here. The thing about Najee is he's the oldest one too, right?
And 23.
And he has a little bit more of the wear and tear on him. Look, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those three from what I've seen so far on tape. I do think Najee and Etienne are more of the every surefire, every down kind of backs, more so than Javonte. And Javonte, I don't think did himself any, not that it's his fault, measuring in at 5.095 today. I kind of thought he's a little bit bigger than that, but I would go Najee 1A and Etienne 1B, and next week I might have them flipped.
I'll go Harris.
They're that close.
Yeah, it's a further gap for me. I like Harris more than Etienne, both just in a vacuum and for the Steelers scheme. I'm not even sure Etienne would be my second. I don't think Etienne would be my second-rated back on the list. Maybe it'd be Javonte or Kenny Gainwell or someone like that. But the Steelers, I think those are two names you have to focus on 24 right now is Najee Harris and Travis Etienne.
I mean, it's hard to envision them coming out of this draft without one of those. Well, really one of the three, But after not, if indeed they were not at North Carolina, and I got to be careful that that Jonathan Jones told me they weren't on the list, talking about Tomlin and Colbert at the pro day. And usually when you're not on that RSVP list that the media sees, and usually you're not there. Now we'll see what Alex has to say later.
They're hiding from me.
Yeah, and if they're hiding, Alex will find them. I promise you that. But if indeed Colbert and Tomlin were not there, that's a big blow, I think, to the possibility of Javonte being the selection at 24 overall. So if you agree with that, then you have to think, man, we've already been able to whittle this thing down to Najee Harris and Etienne. And one other thing, if they show back up at that Alabama Pro Day here in a couple of days, and Matt Canada's with them too, again, he was at the first one. Canada was at the first one, right?
He was at the first one, yes.
If Matt Canada shows back up and Tomlin and Colbert are again at that second Pro Day, I think that sends Najee Harris as the leader in the clubhouse as they make the turn.
Or even if Canada isn't there, since he was there the first time, if they bring Eddie Faulkner.
Yeah. Do you want Eddie? Do you care what Eddie thinks right now? Honestly,
I mean, he's not the decision maker, but he's going to be the dude coaching him. So you get the first wave, you bring your OC and you bring your head coach and your GM. The second wave, you bring your running backs coach to get a different set of eyes on a guy you might be taking at 24. We'll see.
And look, they were at that Clemson Pro Day, and they seem to be paying Travis a lot of attention too. So if they go back to the Alabama Pro Day. I mean, not that if they don't show up, I don't think we go, oh no, Najee's off the board, like that. But it sure would lean more to Najee's favor if they did show back up in Tuscaloosa, and especially if it's if someone like Canada or Eddie Faulkner with them there.
I'm kind of bouncing around the chat here a little bit. Next 20 minutes here of the show. MR Mark 693 says, was Tomlin or Colbert at the Virginia Pro Day? No, they were not. Virginia doesn't have a lot of great prospects this year. Tosin Kazim, the football analyst / he's got a scouting background. He was there at Virginia, but Tomlin Colbert not there. Let's see. Steeler Nation Highlights saying, what's up, Alex? Do you think center is a reach round 1? Not a crazy class and haven't shown huge day 1 interest in any yet, I don't think. No, I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's a reach. We'll see if they're at Oklahoma's pro day for Creed Humphrey and go from there. Maybe it's not the leader. I think running back is more likely in terms of what they will do as opposed to center, but I wouldn't discount center either as we sit here today.
If there was one center right now that you'd say, man, I would not be shocked if they took that center in the first round, it would have to be Creed, I think, at this point, right?
I think so. Unless they clear, if they clear Dickerson medically, though, what is preventing them from drafting him in the first round?
Yeah, I just think the medicals are too. Even if they cleared him medically, I think his past medicals.
Well, if he's cleared, he's cleared. Now, I don't know if they will. We will have no idea if they clear him. But if they did, hypothetically, I'm not sure what stops you from drafting him.
I think, and I got to watch a little bit more Creed by the time the pro day rolls around here as well. I haven't spent a lot of time on him.
You get all wrapped up in those short arms.
Yeah.
You start making T-Rex jokes.
Yeah.
Better not let Creed.
Yeah, I worry. Will his mom come and feed him or what?
You better hope one of these days you get one of these pro day meetings. He sees your name.
What? You think I ain't been pounded on before for opening my mouth?
I don't know, by a guy that big. Don't answer that. I don't know what statute limitations are. He wouldn't punch you. The reach isn't enough. You could just bob him.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Now he's going after me.
Take a 2x4 after me. No, I kid about that. Mm-hmm. I've got to watch a little bit more on him. I've just watched what's on our scouting report up on the site, and I think one other highlight clip on him. I haven't spent a lot of time on him yet.
John Pennington says the best safety might be on the board when the Steelers pick. Do you think they would go outside the box and draft Edmonds' replacement? I don't, John. I know you're not a big Edmonds fan, but I really think this team likes Terrell Edmonds more than you, and a lot of Steeler fans do. I know they talked to Morrig at a TCU, and he could still be there at 24. I agree, but I don't think safety is going to be the answer at 24. Let's see, Micah Desso, Dave, when are we going to see your first mock draft of the season? I enjoyed Tom Meets today. Would be a good haul. Dave, when's your next mock coming?
It's coming. I get off to a late start because of the season and all these, and I got to admit, mock drafts haven't become my favorite over the years as well, too. And I'm still trying to learn a lot about some of these players here right now, too. So after these pro days cycle down, we are just so busy right now. Alex and I got access to all these pro day and media events, and that ties up a lot of our time earlier in the day, and I have to spend most of my nights now going through tape. So after these pro days wind down, I'll get a couple mock drafts out before the actual draft happens. They're coming.
Good deal. I should have a mock draft, I think, next Monday. This upcoming Monday is what I'm shooting for. Nightwolf says, what long snapper will go on day 4? I'll say Thomas Fletcher from Alabama. Bet you didn't think I would have an answer for a long snapper question there, Nightwolf. But I do. That's the only one I know. Colin Childress.
I know that because he talked to the media the other day, right?
I knew that before, but I also now know more about Thomas Fletcher. Next, Colin Holba. Colin Childress. Speaking of Collins, I would like to draft Stevenson later if we miss out on the top 3. That's the Oklahoma back. He's interesting. He's kind of a squatty dude, but he's got really quick feet, really good feet, and I kind of see that fitting in what the Steelers like, kind of that combination of quickness but size.
Yeah, I haven't watched maybe just a highlight or two on him.
Yeah. All right, let me scroll back up here. Again, be sure to ask your questions next 15 minutes.
How many people we got in here, Alex?
128. So thank you
Yeah.
guys. Really good crowd here on hand today. Thank you again for all the super chats.
How many of them are
Um,
bot? How many of them are not real people?
I don't know. Please answer if you are a bot. Please let us know. Let's see. Saloon was asking or saying, fantastic work, guys. After all the free agency moves so far, what is the Steelers' biggest need going into the draft? Running back, DB, or center? Cheers from Brazil. Cheers as well. For me, it's still center because I really don't want BJ Finney starting. I think running back is also a need in terms of who's going to be your starter, but I think I can deal with the issues at running back more than I could mask issues at center. So that's still my number one focus right now. But it doesn't mean they're going to draft a center before they draft a running back.
Yeah, I think it's center and running backs up at the top. I don't think tackles too terribly far behind. Uh, tight end, tight end depth. What is your tight end depth right now?
Not much.
I mean, what, and Robert Spillane, bless his heart. How what's going to go alongside Devin Bush past this year. What else? I mean, slot cornerback right now. Did you see what Mackenzie Alexander signed for?
It was cheap, 1 year, $2 million.
It wasn't even that. No? I don't think.
Yeah, how does Pittsburgh not bring that guy in?
I mean, you got to really have some bad notes on that guy. Maybe they offered him and he didn't want it. I don't know, but you would think that he would have if given the opportunity, especially with them losing Mike Hilton, right? I mean, I'm trying to look up his contract. It was cheap, man.
Yeah, no, I saw it was. I knew it was not a lot of money. I mean, no one's getting
it might have been a benefit deal. I think
that's what DeMonte Casey got with Dallas. He got a minimum benefit contract. Now he's coming off the torn Achilles. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I mean, I would have brought in Casey for that kind of money all day.
I can't believe you can't get some of these guys to come to Pittsburgh.
Or they're just not offering. Because what is their plan? Is Sutton going to be your right corner in base and then kick to the slot in sub? Is that what their goal is right now?
Sutton sure tried to frame it like he's going to play on the outside today, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he could still do that in base, but then kick to the because who? All right, let me ask you this: who's your slot corner then if it's not Cam Sutton?
That's a good question.
I know you mentioned Trevor Williams, but I would prefer not to see that on Sundays.
No, in fact, I said Trevor's better on the outside.
But in terms of guys who can just play in the slot,
right? You don't have many of those right now.
Antoine Brooks, big slot guy, probably not great. So that's why
here's a Mackenzie Alexander deal. It's a minimum. It's a veteran benefit deal. It totals out at 1.127. It has a $990K base salary, and it's got the maximum signing bonus he can have for that kind of contract. That's $137,500. So they will get a break. The Vikings will get a break on the salary cap hit. He'll have the base salary. Just look at it'd be 900 what is it? 987,500 is his cap charge. You can't tell me couldn't get him to sign that same deal for the Steelers to compete for that slot spot. Not that I'm a huge Mackenzie Alexander fan, but I mean, best of the rest is kind of was out there.
Yeah. Would you rather give that money to Cassius Marsh or Mackenzie Alexander? I think it's a pretty clear answer there.
I mean, it's not neither one of them is going to move your needle. Your salary cap.
Salary. Yeah, not at all. So. But maybe, obviously, Pittsburgh probably didn't offer and had better opportunity to go to Minnesota. Let's see. What do we have here? Someone asked about Out of the Park 22 from Face Windu. I haven't bought the game yet. Usually I've been going every other year, and I haven't played Out of the Park because things have been so busy lately, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Don't encourage him to play them damn video games, y'all.
Calm down. Troy says, what are the odds the Steelers trade for Sam Darnold? I won't put them at 0, but I put them pretty low. And again, that's safe to say for any one player. If they do it, it's going to have to happen before, I guess, May 3rd, and that fifth-year option is due, because I can't imagine the Jets are going to pick it up. But I'm not going to put the odds at 0, but I think they're pretty low.
And once again, Alex and I talked about this morning. You got you would inherit a $4 million cap charge, assuming you couldn't get the Jets to eat all of it, which I think is out of the question to get the Jets to eat that $3 million roster bonus that Sam Darnold still has attached for 2021. They're going to try to deal him before that, so they don't have to eat that. And obviously, try to deal him before the draft and before March 3rd, so they don't have to exercise that. They don't have to be in charge of exercising that fifth-year option as well too. Now, we already talked about the cap situation that this team has. Yeah, on paper they have around $12 million. I already told you all that $12 million is already spoken for right now. So where are you going to get the extra money from? Alex brought it up this morning that well, really there's only one place to get it, and that would be Joe Hayden and doing a 4-year voidable extension on that. Okay, fine. I don't think they're going to do that, but if they did do that, once again, you'd have to get that done before you dealt for him, and obviously you'd have to deal for him, but probably before the draft, because that's or slightly thereafter, because March 3rd is the deadline to pick up the 5th-year option on him as well too. And once you pick up that 5th-year option on him, over $18 million, that's fully guaranteed for 2022. So you better have your tape study right on him.
And
I don't think it's happening.
And it would say, Ben, you are definitely done after the season.
Right.
Which may already be true.
And what are you going to give up for him, too? We forgot that part of it.
It's probably a third, my guess. And there's actually a report that the Jets may just hold on to Darnold and say, well, if we can't get a good deal for him, we'll just hold on to him and have him there as backup depth / mentor to presumably Zach Wilson. So
then that means they would decline his 5th-year option too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're definitely going to do that. Yeah. So again, it's not zero, but I think the odds are pretty low. Duncan McDonald says PFF ranked the Steelers 31st in run blocking yesterday. Which team was worse? That's what I want to know. Who do you think is contributing to this poor ranking the most? What recent changes, if any, inspires optimism? All valid questions, Duncan. I think they were just all bad. It's hard to put it on any one guy that's contributing it the most. And then in terms of changes, I don't have a ton of optimism right now. We'll see what happens after the draft. Hopefully a new running back, new centers in the mix. I mean, Banner at right tackle or tackle, whatever spot he plays, can be a good run blocker. And Dotson with a full year, another year, I think can also be a good run blocker. And then just a different organizational approach, different schematic approach, I think will be huge, hopefully, with new offensive line coach Adrian Clem. So there is, I think, enough newness there that hopefully things will be different. How much better it'll be, we'll find out. Micah Desso, Alex, do you miss the train? Do you sometimes play train audio to feel at home in the new house? I do not. Do not miss the train one bit. It's very quiet here in my new house. Troy says, no way Mason is the answer after Ben, right? I don't know. I mean, they like Mason. I don't know how much they like him, but they do like him. So my fear is that they like him too much, that they want to see more of Mason Rudolph after 2021. And I think that would be a mistake to make.
Well, if you're going to do that, once again, you're not going to extend him this offseason. So that means you would have to prevent him from hitting free agency in 2022, and you'd have to give him enough money to not even sniff the market unless you're going to give him the tag, which you're not going to give him the franchise tag, right? So what is that amount of money that it will cost you to keep him off free agency? Because if I'm him, I can't wait right now to at least test the market, even if it meant coming back to Pittsburgh right now. I don't from where I sit right now, and obviously things can change. The best and worst thing that can happen to Mason Rudolph is the same thing, him play. Because either he's going to increase his value if he plays for the Steelers in 2021, or he's going to decrease his value down to a minimum guy and make himself into a minimum salary guy at that point. So obviously he's going to want to play. The Steelers, bringing back Ben, they obviously don't want Mason to have to play this year. So I think it's to be determined. And unfortunately, a lot of the decision making might have to go into how Mason has played up until this point, because obviously nobody should be rooting for Mason to have to play in 2021. Or if he does, it's a lot of kneel downs or mop up duty. So, I mean, from where I sit right now, I don't think any of us can sit here and say it's a slam dunk that Mason's going to be this team's quarterback in 2022.
No, I don't think it's a slam dunk at all. But, I mean, Troy's saying no way. I think there is a path. I think it is possible, assuming Ben's gone and, they can bring back Mason on some sort of deal. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but, it's a potential.
I mean, are you going to lie? If you're Mason, what are you looking to? What's a minimum you're looking to lock yourself into after this season? Because he's not getting a deal this offseason, right?
Right. No, that's not going to happen.
No All right. Chance. So he'll go into next offseason. What what are you going to want if you're Mason Rudolph from February to March to keep you from testing free agency?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what happens September through January, partially. I don't know. I don't even know a number. 6 million, 7 million. Quarterbacks get paid. I'm not sure.
Right. I'm not going to take no damn minimum salary benefit deal
No.
like the Steelers like to give out to these guys. I mean, uh, you would think he's itching to make at least 5 or 6 per season on some sort of 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah, because obviously if Ben retires and they want to bring Mason back, there's going to be a wide open chance to start. So he's going to want to get paid some sort of starting level money, if he does end up in that role, and that's not $1 million, obviously. So I don't know. It's a fair question. I don't know which way it's going to go. Mark Leslie, you kind of threw me off here with the first part of this because it says a lot said Steelers, all one word. I thought you were talking with somebody, but I think he's saying a lot of people saying the Steelers are worse than last year, but how much worse are they? Sure, they lost some parts on defense, but kept the weapons on offense, and if they improve the run game, I think we might be okay. Yeah, I get that, but man, you lost so much on defense. I mean, you lose Dupree, you lose Hilton, you cut Nelson, you lose Pouncey. I don't know.
You just can't turn your head.
Right.
And I mean, especially obviously come ask us after the draft and after free agency's all said and done. But look, I've said since last season that the defense was probably going to take a step backwards in 2021, and that was with the assumption that they lost Bud Dupree and likely Mike Hilton. I didn't think that we'd be sitting here talking about them losing, and also I kind of thought Vince would have been out the door as well, or back on a minimum contract, one or the other there. Thankfully, they got Alu back because we were staring that another big loss right there in the face. I didn't think Nelson would be gone. Dupree, I mean, props to Alex Highsmith. I thought he made great strides as a rookie, but he's not Bud Dupree, especially not against the run yet. He's got a lot to prove. There are a lot of questions. Cam Sutton on the outside. Steven Nelson, didn't play bad. Last 2 seasons. So there's a level of the bar right there that Cameron Sutton's going to have to meet. Right there. So and then we haven't even flipped over to the offensive side of the ball. And anybody feel like the offensive line's gotten better right now? I mean, Alex.
Well, some people would say it can't get much worse. I think
okay. Addition by subtraction. Okay, we'll go with that. But what about the offense in total? Is the offense going to be better than make up the amount that the defense is probably going to take the step backwards? I think that's the question that we're going to be asking ourselves from now until the start of the regular season, is if the offense has improved enough to help cover the slide back that we expect the defense to make.
I think that's a great way to frame it. That's the $1 million question for this team. I don't have confidence they are in that spot. And again, I know for injuries can happen to any team and depth can only be so good, but for the defensive side of the football, I mean, there just is no depth right now. I mean, what if they have the injuries they dealt with this past year? They lose an outside linebacker, they lose an inside linebacker, they have some injuries in the secondary. I mean, just starters are tough enough to talk about right now, but the depth, one guy gets hurt, I mean, you're really going to be in a tough spot.
You are one snap away right now from Cassius Marsh.
God help us all.
Something's got to happen there, right?
Yeah, I hope they bring in a low level.
You cannot go into the season with Cassius Marsh as your number 3 outside linebacker.
No, they're crazy if they do, and I don't think they will. But my point taken. So yeah, I would love to sit there and say this team's better, but I don't think you can argue this team's better, at least not right now. Nigel Schroeder says, do you expect a DB to be drafted at 55? Seems like we either draft a guy or James Pierre steps in opposite of Hayden. Again, I think Sutton will start outside and at least base and then potentially kicks to the slot. I think DB is obviously, or not obviously, but certainly a potential to be drafted at 55. I would prefer to draft a slot guy. I don't know what the team feels. I think they like James Pierre a lot, so maybe they don't draft a slot guy or an outside guy. I'm not quite sure. I would love to get Elijah Molden from Washington. I think he'd be a great Hilton replacement in the slot, keep Sutton on the outside. But I think a DB at 55 is possible. If it's the favorite, maybe not, but it is possible.
I'll keep it short for Nigel. I think it's plausible, yes, that they draft a cornerback at 55. I don't think you can rule that out. I think it is possible there.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's going to happen in the first round.
Yeah. Although I like
unless the horn kid slips, but
yeah, I like Tom Mead's suggestion in his mock draft of Eric Stokes, the Georgia kid, corner that Tomlin seemed to like.
I brought that up initially, thinking that maybe one of those two Georgia kids slides and
slides to 24 to 55.
55. Well, you talking 24, aren't you?
That's what Tom had him in at 24. Yes.
Yeah, well, I don't want them to. I don't want them to draft a cornerback as much as I really deep down inside don't want them to draft a running back that early. But if I had my druthers, I guess it would be them drafting a running back, than a cornerback, because this team just has no luck with corners.
Yeah. 2 more questions here, Micah Desso. Dave, have you seen what the total dead cap space they will have next year is after all these voidable year deals? It's what, $23 million and change?
Oh man, it's I haven't looked at it in a while here. Obviously you got Ben at what, like 10-3 for Ben. You have who else have they done? JuJu, you got another 5-6 there, so you got 15-16. Sutton
won't void,
not going to void out there, but Ebron, that is another. What did we say? What did I say? 3 point. What was it? What did they save in cap saving? 3.9. 3.9 is it there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's right around 20 million. When you look at and also when you look at the restructures that they've done already, I mean you're in a neighborhood where you pushed around $20 million into 2022 already.
Yeah, I want to say it was 23 was the number you had in your article about it.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right now.
But
and remember, I warned everybody, don't start counting people counting that 2022 cap space and all. I mean, hey, look at the amount of people that you got under contract, which ain't many, and then you got to fill that thing out with a kind of filling it out with mock low base salaries alone is going to eat away a lot of it. And once again with these voidable years, I mean, you've already got just in Ben and JuJu alone, you've got $16 million right there,
right.
And then then the Ebron and stuff as well too. So you're right at around $20 million just on those 3 guys.
Yeah, it's a lot. It adds up quickly. Last question here comes from Double HH. Since Hilton's role was essentially that of a small extra inside linebacker, would the Steelers look at someone similar in the draft who would fit that description, or are we better off converting a safety we now have? I think Antoine Brooks will have a role, maybe not exactly what Hilton's role was, but kind of what you're describing is what I think he could be. Miles Killebrew at a very emergency level could be kind of a rundown linebacker as well. I think it's possible, to answer your question more directly for the draft. In terms of who that would be, I need to probably get more familiar with some of these names, but the Florida State kid, that safety, Nasruddin, however you say his name, Davin Diablo from Virginia Tech, another interesting guy.
Divine Diablo, what a name!
That's a
that guy got some rocked up arms right there.
Does he? Yeah, that's kind of one of those hybridish type guys you're talking about. So I need to probably do some more homework. If there's other names that I missed and you want to add in from this draft class today, feel free. But yeah, I think it's possible.
I mean, they've looked at a lot of these kind of hybrid type. The North Carolina kid,
Chad Surratt.
Yeah.
Is he kind of hybridy?
Yeah, he's got a kind of hybridness to him.
Okay, he tested well today. Former quarterback.
Right.
Yeah. Anyone else? I'm trying to think of other names that they've
did you name the TCU kid?
Yeah. Oh, you talking about Morg or Washington?
Right.
Or
right.
Well, yeah, Washington's kind of like Hilton, but Washington's too small and too slow for me.
But they've been looking at kind of a handful of these new hybrids, I guess.
Right.
You know, it would have to be somebody that has some sparkiness to them, I think, if you're going to go that route.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this live stream. Chiefs Kingdom says Chiefs. He wandered his way into the Steelers live stream. Thanks for being here, and thank you to everyone else who has been here. Thank you for all the super chats. Really appreciate it. Dave and I will be back in 2 weeks from now, hopefully right before we're about midway through the draft in mid-April, and we'll be back to talk about that and whatever other moves the Steelers have made over the next 2 weeks. So Dave Bryan, as always, thanks for being here.
Thank you, and thank you people in the chat. And if you're on Twitter, we want to help us out that way. Retweet our stuff as well too. And peace and love to everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight.
Yeah, be sure to find us on Facebook as well, Steelers Depot, and there'll be an archive of this stream going up shortly that you guys can go back and watch as well. So Marjorie says thank you very much. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you for everyone who joined us in the chat today. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk to you soon. Have a good night, everybody.